Arlington Toyota wants to know what drives you. Let's start with having 500 Toyotas available. Plus, you get a lifetime warranty and 30 days to love your new purchase or exchange it. What drives you is what we do. Shop arlingtontoyota.com today.
Hey, welcome into this episode of The Book of Bo, brought to you by Arlington Toyota. Get 30 days to love your purchase or exchange it. Shop arlingtontoyota.com.
Jaguars are the upstarts of the NFL, and they've crashed the high-stakes game of the wild card party. Led by quarterback Mark Brunell, the Jags have won 5 in a row and now brace for a playoff battle with the Bills.
We belong here. This is a great opportunity for us. We want to enjoy the moment. We want to understand the opponent very well, but we want to allow our own athletic ability and our own instincts to take over. And just go up there and play like heck and try to make something happen.
The Bills represent pro football's establishment and have mastered the game of survive and advance. But the proud core of Buffalo's reign is showing its age. Can they summon up the stamina for one more run? It's the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Buffalo Bills on ABC's AFC Wild Card Playoff.
We were getting our butts kicked, and the score was just not going our way.
He's going right with the flow. There's no way Boselli gets a chance to cut him off. And once Bruce gets a step on somebody, you can't stop him.
We couldn't be pass happy. We had to keep them on their toes. We had to be two-dimensional, not one. So we knew we had to run the ball, establish the run, and we had to take our shots when we did.
I mean, we literally were praying our brains out. It was freezing.
Remember Natron Means? He was our running back. He had a little belly. I like my running backs with a little bit of girth on them, like the bus, right? Natron Means was just like that. And some of the runs that he rattled off in that game were just tremendous. Get hit in the backfield and yet make 15, 20 yards.
Natron Means! Touchdown! Holy cow, what a run! Natron Means. Finally some room to run, and Natron Means breaks it. Jules trying to catch him from behind and doesn't defy.
When the tide started to turn and you could feel it turn, and just one more good thing started happening and one more good thing started happening.
Particularly good things were happening for the hero of this tale on the left side of the Jaguars' offensive line.
Bruce Smith causes problems for everybody. You know, he's a great player. He's probably, you could argue, one of the best defensive end pass rusher of all time. Reggie White, him and himself are both the top two. So the problems he's going to create, I'm going to have to be technically sound. I'm going to have to do a good job. But I feel if I play my game, I think it's going to be a good matchup.
We're acknowledging that Bruce Smith is a great football player, all right, and a Hall of Famer. And the fact that Boselli, that Tony could get into a competitive National Football League playoff game and play as well as he did against a great player, that gives significance to both.
You know what's the problem with the world today? Some people just need to learn how to take L's. It's okay, you can take an L and keep living.
And Bruce Smith, you have to give Tony Boselli a tip of the cap for his first quarter performance. We've been watching the matchup between young tackle Tony Boselli and all-world Bruce Smith. You're looking at a future Hall of Famer, a lock with 12 postseason sacks. And Boselli, what a great career he has in front of him.
Here we go. This is the Book of Bo. I'm Dan Hicken.
And you know, with a young team, you learn a valuable lesson here today, and you realize that it doesn't matter in the NFL.
31-yard field goal attempt for the lead. And it's no good. Christmas has come early to Jacksonville.
The kick sailed wide left, and the boys from Jacksonville sailed into the postseason for the very first time. It was win and into the playoffs on December 22nd, 1996, the final regular season game against the Atlanta Falcons. Final score, Jags 19, Falcons 17. Onto the postseason and onto the top-seeded Buffalo Bills.
Buffalo had never lost a wild card game in Buffalo. But the Jaguars team, we did not think we were going to lose.
The Bills have been to 4 Super Bowls that decade. They had future Hall of Famer Jim Kelly under center, Hall of Fame head coach Marv Levy on the sidelines, and on defense, they had the Defensive Player of the Year, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, Bruce Smith.
Here's the thing about Tony's career. Anytime there was a big matchup, first year, second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year, the newspaper would key in on these matchups. And definitely they had hyped up this Bruce Smith matchup with Tony.
You know, that was a guy that I, when I was in college, even in high school, had when I watched NFL and you watch highlights, just a guy that was just a dominant player at his position, as dominant as anybody ever, at the defensive end position.
If you were to look up, what is the best athlete on the field, and I, in my personal opinion, I think you look at defensive ends. And so when you see Tony going against those guys all year long, and not just holding his own, but dominating, you just know it's like, okay, this guy's really good. And so we knew it. You knew it going into the Buffalo game, but then you see him line up against one of the best ever. And having a very good game. I don't think the Bruce Smith game was the thing where the first time people realized. I think it's the moment where the rest of the NFL, all the coaching staffs and all the players probably they know Tony's that good. They've seen it. You watch film. The coaches know it. Players know it. But I think it's the first time that maybe the national media and fans from around the world see, because they put such an emphasis on, well, this is Bruce Smith. Tony's dominating guys all year. Bruce Smith was just the next guy in line.
My husband is an absolute student of the game. And when we built our house, you should have seen what we did my husband didn't want to spend a dime anywhere on tile or on furniture, but on the media room where he had to watch film and play back film, the sky was the limit on, no, this is for work. He had this playback machine. He camped out in the media room watching film that week. And I knew the weight of this matchup and this game going into it, based on the fact that my husband was a complete ghost leading up to this.
A great battle brewing right now between Bruce Smith and Tony Boselli. Of course, Boselli said confidently but respectfully, if I hold my technique, I can take care of Smith. And so far, he's been able to do that. Take a look at the pass pro. Smith out wide. Watch Boselli's feet. Kane's in there, gets the hand shot out. Does a great job against Smith. In tight against the run. It's a battle. Smith is getting frustrated. Boselli doing a good job. A wider look. Watch how he blows Smith off the ball and stays with the block. That springs Natron Means for a 62-yard gain. It has been all Boselli so far, Mike.
You heard Angie off the top. It didn't start out too hot for the Jags. The Bills led 14-10 at the end of the first quarter. But then the tide shifted.
Kelly with another shovel pass, and this one is picked off. Intercepted by Clyde Simmons. Touchdown.
So I had no idea that what Tony was doing over there, what he was doing over there, because I had to make sure, both of us had to make sure we had our ends locked, all right? And we did. Mark probably got pressured maybe about 3 or 4 times in the game. We established the run game against Buffalo, which was tough.
Real quickly now, the numbers on Smith and Boselli. They've gone head-to-head 18 of 21 plays. They run behind Boselli 4 times for 68 yards. Smith just 2 tackles. He hasn't got a sniff of the quarterback.
When all was said and done, final, Jags 30, Bills 27. The Jags had won their first playoff game. Moreover, that other score, the game within the game, Bruce Smith, 3 tackles, 0 sacks against Big Bo. 0 sacks. Now let me take a second and step back to modern day here. 1010 XL, not trying to stir up drama. Tony and Bruce have had a conversation since Bruce's comments regarding Tony's Hall of Fame candidacy this summer. Tony and his family would rather we all move on and focus on the upcoming enshrinement, as well as 2 undoubtedly dominant NFL careers. We didn't ask the question, yet in every interview conducted, Zoom or in person,
Tony is now a member of the Brotherhood. This stuff does not have to exist, shouldn't exist. So I'm thankful that they talked and that it's over with. And I expect in August when we're together, it's going to be great.
Oh, I wasn't even going to ask you about Brucey.
Yeah, it's clear. This one has always meant a little extra because, quite frankly, it's not just the game where Tony became a superstar. It's the game where the Jacksonville Jaguars entered the national conscious. The day the Jags truly became Duval!
Jacksonville kills the clock.
What an unbelievable performance by a young football team that really didn't know quite what was ahead for them. But the one thing they did is they didn't get down when mistakes went against them.
Well, they'll be joyous in Jacksonville, and this is one of the reasons why. Tony Boselli, talk about the game you had today and against Bruce Smith.
It was a real important game, and I just like to thank God, giving us the chance to come out here. Bruce Smith's a great player. I knew I had my hands full. And I just thank the Lord for giving me the ability to come out here. Natron played a heck of a game. He ran hard, and we just stuck together. It wasn't pretty, but we won.
Natron had 170 yards, something like 90 or 100 of them behind you. What were you able that you had confidence in against Bruce Smith? He had only 2 pressures all day.
Honestly, what gave me the confidence was the Lord, and I just knew that if I came out here and played my hardest, Bruce Smith's a great player, but I thought I had the ability just to, if I concentrate, kept my poise, because he really relies on the crowd a lot, and just concentrate, and it worked out.
Well, it was awfully impressive. Congratulations to you. Back to you, Mike.
The consolation prize? A date with John Elway and the Denver Broncos. The Jags were 19-point underdogs.
As we welcome you to Denver, a beautiful day, 45 degrees at kickoff time. The Jaguars and Coach Tom Coughlin, he's been called a lot of things. One of those is a strict disciplinarian, and what's become wrong with discipline?
Absolutely nothing. There are no hidden agendas with Coach Coughlin, and I'll tell you one thing about it, everybody understands their role. They're all under one umbrella. There are no exceptions. Tom Coughlin has a theme for every week. This week is this: with success brings greater challenges. And I'm going to tell you something else. They all understand where he's at.
I always say somebody's going to have to come out of the woodwork and play much better than you think they should play in order for you to overcome a great obstacle in front of you, a team which you're never given a chance, And so in '96, we weren't given much chance at all in Buffalo. And then we were, why are you guys going to Denver at all? Just turn around and drive back home.
Go to Denver, and it's like nobody's giving us a chance to win in Denver.
No one. Except the 19-point underdog Big Cats themselves.
You know why we're here today? We got to take care of business. Because we are bad and we're better than this team. And we're going to whip their ass. Let's go.
They were down 12-0 after a quarter. They responded with 13 points in the second to take a 1-point lead into the half.
Natron picking up from his 175-yard effort of a week ago. Gets 8 more on that, has 58 yards rushing in this opening half, and Jacksonville is back in the game.
And even when the Broncos cut the lead to 3 in the fourth quarter, with the home crowd growing louder and louder, the Jags never folded. Brunell found Jimmy Smith for a 16-yard touchdown to put the Jags up 10.
I can still see Mark jumping over guys, running down the sideline, and Jimmy Smith here. And I can still remember going to Dick Geron. I said, Dick, they're going to score, but make sure they don't score with more than 2 minutes left in the game. Sure enough, you know, they use all their timeouts up.
Right.
And the funny thing about it, and I'm not saying this to embarrass anybody, but they line up, okay? They're going to try an onside. They don't even know how to line up. I don't believe they've even rehearsed it. They win by so many points. They don't even worry about it. You know, and but even that was a great moment.
Against all odds, in just their second year of existence, the little old Jaguars were headed to Foxborough for the AFC Championship game.
We beat Denver, and then I'm thinking, golly, and now we're going to go play the Patriots. I mean, it seems like that would be the one we would definitely think we could win. Not these first two that we somehow got through, and we ended up losing, unfortunately.
Has won the American Football Conference Championship 20-6 over a stout young team from Jacksonville with a fiery coach that with their play promises to show us some great seasons ahead.
This time, the Jags never found the end zone. The Bill Parcells-led Patriots rolled 20-6. The incredible ride of 96 was over. But the foundation had been laid.
Tom Coughlin is a Hall of Famer. When you can get a guy from Green Bay, Mark Brunell, who's one of my best friends, another bias, to put that team together, and for 3 to 5 years, I say a 5-year clip, Jacksonville was dominated.
Hope you're enjoying this episode of The Book of Bo, brought to you by Arlington Toyota. Get 30 days to love your purchase or exchange it. Shop arlingtontoyota.com. Now back to The Book of Bo.
Starting in 96 with that run at the end of the year, you know, we had a good 4 years where we were one of the best teams in the AFC.
It was a 4-year stretch in which the Jaguars had double-digit wins every year. Sure, they lost to the Broncos in the playoff opener in 97, upset by the Jets in round 2 in 98, but the Jags never had less than 11 wins during that run. Yeah, you'd sign up for that in a heartbeat right now, wouldn't you, Jags fans? And at the heart of it all was Don Anthony Boselli Jr.
I mean, I still to this day, you know, when people talk about it, look at the sacks he gave up. He gave up none. Yeah. What, 9 in 9 years?
Tony, you know, during the time that that we were here together in Jacksonville, he was as dominant a player at that left tackle position as anybody I've ever seen, even to this day.
Because it wasn't just Bruce Smith whose lunch money Tony was taking.
The Jason Taylor game is funny to me because Tony and Jason did not like each other in that game.
Marino will have to be at the top of his game tonight because the undefeated Jacksonville Jaguars are matched up against the Dolphins. The league's hottest new franchise faces Florida's traditional favorites on ABC's Monday Night Football.
A beautiful fall evening in northern Florida.
I remember Jason Taylor coming over to my side, and then I had to give him the hands. And I said, bro, I don't know why you came over here. I said, whatever you got over there, you're gonna get over here. So we were smack talking. And when I turned around, and I remember, I can't remember what play it was, Jason and Tony were on the ground, literally just fighting. I said, okay. I said, these guys, it's good that they didn't like each other.
And Tony's just a gentle giant. And I think that's what really PO'd a lot of defensive ends, because Tony would just smile and laugh at them as he would just kind of stop them. And he wouldn't get in a back and forth, like, because Tony, a man of faith, so am I. Not a lot of cursing and screaming and yelling. He would just laugh.
Tony was garrulous. He was willing to talk. He had a good way about him. He walks in the room and he fills up the doorway. You know, that's the first thing. Obviously, you work in the NFL, you realize these are large human beings. But then there's like a subset that's even somehow bigger than the other humans. And Tony qualified in that group.
They didn't call him Big Bo for nothing.
They got back down to the goal line. Tony Boselli saying something to Jason Taylor, and he, I think, gets a little 90-99 now there to Tony Boselli.
But the only thing bigger than his frame was his impact on his team and the league.
They said, man, this guy good with his hands. He may have the best hands to ever play in the game. And we would talk about, because I blitzed a lot, so we always talked about linemen all the time. And Tony's name would come up in our locker room about that first punch. He had one of the best first punches.
I mean, he's a great guy to go to dinner with. Everything's nice, you know, have a beer with him, blah, 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 blah. But when he's in competition, and especially when he starts getting the upper hand, he starts rolling, you know, and that look on his face about, you think you're going to get by me today? There is no way in hell. And he's always looking down because he's so much bigger than everybody else.
And yet, Tony's Jaguars could never get over that hump. They never reached the ultimate goal, the Super Bowl.
Listen, we had a nice little run. We had a nice little 4-year run. We made 2 AFC championship games, should have went to at least 1 Super Bowl.
I think about the offensive players we had. You could argue it's the best offensive players to ever play in the franchise history. You know, Fred Taylor at running back, Jimmy Smith at wide receiver, Mark Winnell, Leon Searcy, the right tackle. I mean, there was Keenan McCardell. I mean, we had guys.
But skill doesn't always translate to a Lombardi, and skill definitely didn't help the looming, impending salary cap issues facing the Jags. Compounding that haunting sense of doom, Big Bo suffered a series of injuries in what would prove to be his final 2 seasons in Duval County.
My left shoulder for a couple years was bothering me a little bit here. Not a little bit. It would slide in and out of joint during games, and I just dealt with it. One year I tore my ACL the last game of the season at the end, so I had to deal with that. And then I had a nagging ankle injury that I didn't miss any time with, but I had to get cleaned out in the off season. So it was just one of those things. I'm like, I don't want to deal with it. And I thought I could just manage it, and it just got worse and worse and worse.
To see the pain he was in, and his shoulder, and knowing what that meant. And then Ashley was born in the fall, and she had some medical problems, and he was there with this god-awful sling with his arm immobile, sleeping in the hospital with Angie and the baby. And it was just, it was so hard to watch that. But the worst part was when they decided to put him on the expansion. It broke my heart. That was really, I think we were all really blindsided by that.
Coming up on the Book of Bo.
You have to understand. Yeah. We're were in financial disarray. Okay, I mean it is really catastrophic.
Tony was exposed to the expansion draft, and that was a little confounding. But then you realize there was something more to it.
I'll never forget seeing Tony in a Houston Texans uniform, and it just didn't look right.
Knock on the door. Comes out, we sit on the front steps. And I tell him. And, here's the cornerstone of the franchise, the guy that, and God only knows the injuries and the things that came along that prevented us from going where we wanted to go. I mean, it's almost like, you just drew a line in the sand after 99, really.
Right.
I mean, where did they all go? What happened,
Hope you enjoyed this latest episode of The Book of Bo, brought to you by Arlington Toyota. Get 30 days to love your purchase or exchange it. Shop arlingtontoyota.com.